tonight's main event.
Where's the Friday?
This is my show, Widow, Trio, and Freedom. Welcome to it. I have Caden Weigman in here, and we're going to have a great talk about film and all things editing. How you doing?
I'm doing so good, man.
Welcome to the show. Now, we watched a show of yours yesterday, and I don't think you even put all that you wanted to put into it, but you talked about ADHD and the effects of just a normal person in their day. What made you come up with that idea, man?
Growing up, I was always kind of the rambunctious child in my household, and but never diagnosed with ADHD or anything like that. But recently, I was talking to some professionals, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, man, you have ADHD, basically."
Really?
Yeah, he didn't have the clearance to be able to actually officially diagnose me, and so I'm still working on that. But he was like, "I have ADHD, and I'm not like 99% sure or like 90% positive that you have it. If I was a betting man, I'd put money down on it." And so with that in mind, I was like, okay, that kind of lines up. And so
get closer.
I basically just started to look more into ADHD and like what the symptoms are, what the whole experience looks like. And as I was looking at it more and more, I realized just how much people just don't understand about it. Like,
yeah.
Growing up, I always thought of ADHD as just like the rambunctious kid that just can't sit still. And while those are some symptoms of it, that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the struggles behind ADHD. And so when I got presented with the opportunity to make this film for class, I was like, all right, maybe I can make something that kind of spreads awareness, even though it's obviously not going to reach very many people. But if at least one person can see it and start to think about it, then that's really what's important, you know? And so I was thinking, and I looked back and realized that the one movie that had really summed up how ADHD felt without actually saying anything about ADHD was actually Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or Into the Spider-Verse, specifically Across the Spider-Verse. And I was thinking about it and just the emotion and the energy that I felt when I was in the theater for that. And I was like, that's it, you know? And so I was like, all right, well, maybe let's try to make a film there. And as you said, it's not complete yet. I didn't get to the point that I was hoping to get to, but it was still fun creating it and thinking about the different ways that you can put those kind of things on film, you know?
Yeah. Let me explain it for you guys. I myself do have ADHD, and I don't, from what I remember of the movie, there's basically you're almost in this guy's head. You know, he's getting ready. He's already running late for his day, which is about right. You know, you got so many things, irons in the fires, and trying to do everything else. He's trying to get out of his door. A couple of things happen, you know, and it just triggers these days into an absolute riot of craziness. But what I loved the most was there's chatter. You know what I mean? And the chatter, it starts off, it sounds like it starts off quieter, and it just seems like it's like ramping up. And I just like that reminds me a lot of Christopher Nolan stuff too. You know what I mean? Like that is just amazing how you just hear that in the background building. But that was like the chatter for me. And I'm like, man, this is my head right now. How did he film my head? You know, you literally got that nailed out. And then by the end of the film, like, you know, it's building and everything. There's mayhem all the way through it type thing. But you get to the end of it, and I won't do the twist part, but it resets. And it is like basically goes, this could be his day or it could be better. You know what I mean? And I think that just, man, how long have you been doing film for?
Oh, since I was a kid,
Really?
Honestly. Yeah, just pretty much any kid just grabbing a camera and messing around with it. But
let's be real for a second. Oh, any kid just grabs a camera. You know what I mean? We see it, you know, and it's very far and few when you actually get a hold of someone like yourself that's come up through it. I think it's really cool.
Thanks.
I've seen some of your other works too, and you, the way how your mind works is actually, it's quite fun. You're at that stage now where you know all the buttons, you know all the things you're doing. Now it's up to you just to have fun. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've taught I've talked to a few people in our class. You've taught most of us little tricks, and you know what I mean, because you know it, you know. And even someone said yesterday they think that you could be able to teach our class quite easily.
Thanks.
But I mean, it's been building. So let's talk about your childhood just for a second.
Okay.
Where were you raised?
So I'm from Hiram, Utah. It's like 4.5 hours north.
I love Hiram.
Yeah, it's super pretty. I've got two older siblings, and then grew up with my mom and my dad, and just working on the farm. It wasn't a family farm or anything, but started there when I was like 7, worked until like junior year of high school. And then
so you understand the value of money and working and that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So they paid you from a young age, so you understand it.
I got paid in dirt, but I got also paid in experience. So
oh, there you go.
Yeah, but it was good. So just grew up there, and then just had a pretty normal childhood, to be honest. And
so mom and dad still in the equation. You lived on a farm, did you say?
I'm close to it, yeah. So I lived in the more rural-ish parts of Hiram. It's not true rural because there's plenty of houses everywhere, but we had 7 acres across the street from our house that we were watering trees all the time. We have horses, we had a dog, chickens would run across the road all the time, and a block away from our house there was a farm, and so every day just go there whether it was raining or snowing or anything like that. So then just grew up and got into high school, did theater, did track, all the fun stuff, and then that was that. So,
what was your big, like, as far as running? Were you pretty big into track running?
Yes and no. So I did it for the first 3 years of high school before COVID, and then the senior year I just got this feeling that I shouldn't do track, and I was like, you know what? Okay, that works for me, because the last couple of years I hadn't had as much fun. I didn't really know people, and so I just kind of showed up to the meet, ran my race, and then kept to myself. So senior year I got this feeling, and so I decided to do ultimate frisbee instead. And it ended up working out because then COVID hit, and I didn't pay a single dime on anything, and otherwise I would have paid like quite a bit of money to lose all of it. So it ended up working out.
So going through, actually COVID's quite an interesting one on like your life, because it hit at such a tremendous point where you're putting a lot into everything that you're doing, and you're pretty much established as a human, but now you need to solidify yourself. Did that change a lot of things, do you think? Like, does that a bit of a life on pause? Oh,
for sure. Completely. So, just for a little bit of background, when I was right at the beginning, actually, like a month into junior year of high school, and my mom passed away from cancer. And so that already kind of reset the tone of my whole family. And then my brother and I were doing pretty well. And then my brother went and served his mission. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. And so my brother went and served his mission. And prior to that, junior year of high school, I spent all my time with him, because I woke up early morning, an hour before everyone else got to school, and we went and did chamber choir, and then we did school, and then theater right after that. And so there was one time I was at school for like 14 hours in one day, something like that. Wow. And so I spent a lot of time at school, and because of that, my brother and I had the same friend group, and so we were spending a lot of time together. And then he left, so senior year I was all alone, and my dad was starting to date again, and he wanted me to be busy so that he could be busy. And there's no, like, it was totally fine. I was the life of the party. I was going around, I was hanging out with lots of friends. And then that's when COVID hit. And I went from being complete social life, spending all of my time with my people, down to like absolutely nothing, and just at home alone in my house all day while my dad was at work. And so complete total shift. And that created a lot of mental issues for me. And then from there, I just went on my mission. So
I believe that. Actually, that would have been a trying time. When did you say that your mum passed away?
It was 2018.
Oh, so fairly, recent enough for you to know about it.
Yeah, for sure.
How long did it take for your dad to date and stuff like that?
I think it's about a year.
Yeah, wow.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not comfortable for him. It's not easy, man. You know.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
so not easy.
It's definitely, it's a new step, but the awesome thing has been that, honestly, both sides of my family are super, super accepting. And so in all the places that there could be lots of drama, there's been absolutely zero. And so it's been awesome because
yeah.
like, I love my stepmom. She's amazing. And
So he's remarried then?
yeah, yep. So
Great.
he got married while I was on my mission. And so, but I got to know her before that. So
Yeah.
it was good. But yeah, I love her to death. My step siblings are awesome. And there's both sides of my family. Like my dad still goes to the reunions on my mom's side, and it's just like
Good.
super healthy. So it's been great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. That transition. Oh, at the same token too, they were a little bit older as well, right? Yeah, your parents, and they've been together for a long period of time.
Yeah, they've been married for about 20 years.
Yeah, there you go. 20 years. It's a
Yeah.
good one. I was married for 9 years, almost 10 before my wife passed away. So yeah, it's not a great deal. It's pretty hectic when you go through that sort of situation. You know, it's not fun at all. What was the biggest things like? I mean, I'm sorry to even open this up, but
Hey, no worries.
when your mum went through that, like, how much time did she have from diagnosed to not being here anymore?
So for a little bit of background, 9 years prior to when she got it the second time, she
that's right.
got it the first time. And so that first time I was way too young to really understand anything, you know, because she passed away when I was 16, and she had it for about a year before passing, and then 9 years before that. And so 9 years before that, you know, I was only like 6. And so I didn't really understand what was going on. All I knew was that we were staying at my aunt's house for a night, and then my mom came home and looked super bruised. And so I was like, okay, this is crazy. That's new, but I was 6. So, and then when it came back, we had a year of the first 6 months we were trying to work through it. And then the last 6 months we were like, all right, there's nothing we can do. So let's just enjoy it, you know? So yeah.
It's a tricky time, huh?
Yeah, it really is interesting for the mindset. Just like, when do you negotiate? Should we still keep kicking? Should we still work hard? Or when do you just accept, like, this is happening, you know? And we just have to enjoy it. Like, we have to enjoy what time we have left and make the most memories that we can with this time left. Or do you fight it up until the very, very end and then wish that you would have not spent so much time in the doctor's office, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We did a bit of both. We navigated both sides of that, you know? We had to, man. She didn't want to let go, and neither did I. So we were trying everything we could. And like, we achieved many things with it. At the same token, as she was doing that, we were traveling, you know what I mean? And it was right in COVID time. Just as COVID kicked off, that's when she was shutting down. Yeah. So we were going through all of that.
That makes it even harder.
Yeah. Yeah, we found out like in 2018 that she was diagnosed, and it was like, you will die. You know what I mean? And we did everything. We got her body cancer free, and they never checked her brain. And that's where, like, when they finally did check her brain, and after they even declared her cancer free, they were, okay. And then my wife started falling over. I was like, go back and check. And then, they never checked her brain. And by the time they did, it looked like looking into the galaxy of all the dots that was through her mind. And it was too far. So it was a shame. I mean, but I appreciated the fact that we took the time to go places and do things. And it's funny. I think it's really cool at that stage when you get into those situations. I don't know if you notice it or not, but like, once everything gets to the point of you're losing someone that's very, very important to you, the world dissolves away and nothing else matters. Like, I stopped being angry at drivers. Do you know what I mean? Like, who cares? You know, I wouldn't let the small things sweat me so much because I had other things on my mind. And it's kind of like the dull roar around me went to a real dull roar, and it was just her. You know, her and my little boys, and then off we would go. You know, and in that I found lots of bliss. Like, I really felt like that was a time where my body showed me that I could shut everyone out, and that sometimes I need that time for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's really
And
important.
It's so important. Yeah. For me to learn that lesson at this stage, you know, it was like, well, I could have learned that one sooner. But I'm a kind of an all be in it guy. So when I'm in it, I'm all in it. You know, if I'm helping someone, I'm all helping. You know what I mean? And that can be quite taxing on many times. So to go through that, and that kind of gave me this is how you reset yourself, you know, and this is how you say no to people.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So sorry to hear about your mum, man. That's crazy. You know, it's such a tricky scenario. When you started picking up cameras, like how did that even start? Like at what point? What you said you were fairly young. You just picked up a camera and went for it. Who was your influence? What was your influence?
I honestly, probably wasn't even film that was my influence. It was just my imagination. So growing up, I always had some idea I was thinking about. I was always super, super visual learner and visual creative. And so, or visually creative. And so, like just playing with my friends and whatnot, I could visualize whatever we were doing as if it were right in front of us right there, you know? And I think my mom really inspired that because in our household, we didn't really spend that much time on tech, or at least we weren't really allowed to in those younger years. And so anytime that we wanted to go outside and just have fun, she just had a bag of sheets and she called the imagination kit. She'd just toss us outside and we'd grab all of our toy weapons, like our toy swords and whatnot, you know, and lightsabers and all that stuff. We'd go outside, build a fort, use our imagination. And we'd go into this big field, play in the ditch, and just like have a lot of fun, you know. And honestly, if I were to trace all of my creative pursuits back, it would be to that, because I was given the opportunity to use my mind, use my creativity to build something. And you know, playing Legos and spending hours and hours, that was my favorite toy, you know. And so I think developing that creative side, growing up, I was like, oh, I want to be an inventor, an engineer, that kind of thing. And so I always was in the pursuit of creating something and thinking of things and then building them, you know. And as time eventually went on, I realized that engineering was not my thing. takes a lot of the stuff that I don't want to put my time into. And I started to realize that video editing and creating graphics and art and graphic design and all that, that's what really scratched my itch to be able to build worlds out and create worlds, you know. And so I think as time went on, I realized more and more as I was filming more and more, and I was just making things that before weren't possible. I think that's where it really grew, you know, watching YouTube and seeing random guys on the internet use a green screen and make it look like they were flying or that kind of stuff, you know, and I'd recreate it. And I was like, all right, this is a world that I can create, you know. I'm thinking of something and now I can actually see it there, you know. And I think that's where my drive for filming and entrepreneurship and all of that stuff comes into play, because I just love thinking of an idea and then seeing it unfold around me.
Yeah. You and I, we're on a very similar path in this college. Mm-hmm. You're doing a minor in entrepreneur as well, and then a major in the communications, is that right? Yeah.
So I've only got like 2 classes left for the entrepreneurship minor. I probably won't finish it just because of the scheduling conflicts, but I'm there, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What made you do that? The entrepreneur.
Oh, entrepreneurship. I think pretty much in the same light. I think growing up, outside of just the visual stuff I always was thinking about, I was also thinking about businesses, you know. And so as time went on, I was like, okay, this could be kind of interesting. And I signed up for the speaker series, I think, and that was cool. And I started to realize that there were just some businesses that I really wanted to create, and that entrepreneurship and going into that was kind of a stepping stone for that. And I realized I kind of have a natural knack for it. And so I don't know if I'll ever have my own business as like a main job or not, but that's where we're at.
At least you understand it though. And it's the thing that I liked about what I learned in entrepreneurship. I've actually implemented in doing this show. You know what I mean? Like they have you build out businesses as you just talked about, but you know, and hypothetically or real or whatever. But I actually put it to work. You know, and I'm going on Facebook groups and I'm hunting groups that would like this sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sort of being a part of it and dropping links here and there, and they're working a little bit. But it's interesting to see. What it shows me is that the broad difference of like what I kind of wish they would do schools a little differently, to be honest with you.
I agree.
I look at what they're doing with what we're doing here in communications runs so close alongside of marketing. Do you know what I mean? And what we're missing in communications is marketing. Like they really should combine those two together because if you're going into communications, probably, I would say 80%, you're probably going to work for yourself for the most part, especially this day and age. But I mean, people are out there, they're a one-man band. They're filming, they're talking, and they're editing, and they're sending it in. You know, I mean, they're doing news stuff or whatever the case is. And I just think that the element of entrepreneur it lends to it very, very well. I almost feel like they should change it and make it make more sense, because when you just learn and hear in communications, it's like a lot of people in communications, we're doing a lot of busy work. I kind of wish they would say, if you've got something going on your own, build towards that. You know what I mean? Because and that's what I've been doing with this. You know, I've worked with my teachers and my teachers have worked with me, and I'm doing all the same work as everybody else, except for I'm making it work for me. I want this to be solidified so I can use it later on, you know? Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, one thing that you might want to look into is the social media certificate. So that's what I'm doing right now, and it's on in addition to everything else, and it's 5 classes, if I remember correctly, but it covers basically all the marketing stuff that you're going to need. It doesn't talk about stats or whatever, but it does talk about social media branding. Talks about how to create your brand, how to make sure that you hone into your right audience. It talks about how to push your brand. Talks about SEO, which is search engine optimization, and it basically covers those gaps. Like it fills in those gaps between marketing and communication.
Is that in comms?
Yeah.
Who teaches the class?
There's a couple of different teachers, but it starts out with Breckley Gale. She's super good. So she actually has her own independent branding agency.
Wow.
And it's called Branding in a Day. And so she's really good. And so if you're interested in learning more about like marketing and kind of the back end of pushing your brand forward and like this podcast or that kind of thing, it goes into all of that. And it actually is directly related to your brand, your personal stuff, you know? And so throughout your whole semester, you're going to start making blog posts every week and putting out podcasts, or you're going to start doing things like that, you know? And it's actually pretty cool. So it's worth looking into. It really does.
Sounds like it's up my alley.
Exactly. Yeah. It really does fill in those gaps between the marketing and the communications, just sans all the stats. And that's why I didn't do marketing, is because I didn't want to. I saw the math classes, and even though I'm good at math, I was just like, you know,
good, yeah,
like I wouldn't want it as a class. So why would I want it as a career? You know,
yeah.
So, yeah,
that's a valid lesson too. What you just said then. If you don't want it in your future, why are you doing it now? You know, I was going into. I was thinking about doing like the creative writing, and I started a class this semester, and it was extremely intense. You know what I mean? The thing that come out of it, and I got injured obviously, and it kind of put me behind. So I withdrew from that class, and then that sort of it brought me to that conclusion. That, and I was some of my writing, I've had some few people look over it, and Brooklyn, as you know, she's like, dude, you don't need a writing class, you write really well, don't worry about it, just go do the fun things, you know. And she's right, bang on, you know, it's what I need to do. So yeah, it's funny how those little telltale signs where you kind of want to learn it because you're curious about it, but it's probably not in your wheelhouse, or it shouldn't be in your wheelhouse, you know. You should be learning the things that you're more good at. I see you, man. Like you've got a talent. You got your eye, and the way how you bring things to life is amazing.
Thank you.
Like, are you looking into for the future? What are you thinking? Are you going to go like a marketing route where you'll create commercials and things, or are you actually going to go for it and make some stuff?
That's a good question. Realistically, I would probably go into marketing and ad generation and campaign. I really, really want to be doing a job, whatever it looks like, where I'm doing something different every day. And it doesn't have to be, like it doesn't matter if I'm doing the same things every week, but I want to be moving and I want to be planning. I want
On
to
different projects.
Yeah, I want to be creating things, and so whether I'm just in the ad team for a new company or like a videographer, editor, something like that, I really just want to focus on creating ideas and then just pushing them, And so preferably I like small businesses because you're more in on the action. If you have a team that's less than 20 people or less than 30 people and you get hired onto that kind of position, then you're immediately thrown into not only just the marketing side of things, but also some of the management side of things and watching the inner workings, So like right now I'm working at Outdoor Vitals, ultralight backpacking company, and we have like 14 employees there. And right now I'm just doing returns for the company, but even with me just doing returns, the CEO still sometimes approaches me and is like, hey, do you have any ideas for this? And that just blows me away, And so that's the kind of thing that I want is like video editing's great and I want to do video editing, but I want it to just cover all the bases because I don't have the attention span for for doing anything all day, every day,
Oh, me too, man. That sounds like a 9 to 5 just sounds, I would rather do nothing. It's seriously, that just blows my mind how people do. I mean, that's like the Foo Fighters song, There Goes My Hero. He's ordinary, because I could never be that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could never grind out. I don't know how they do it. And for all you out there that are listening to that, do that. Good on you, man. That's amazing. Like, it's so hard to shut my mind down at the best of times, you know what I mean? And every time I've had a 9 to 5, it just sort of pigeonholes me into a corner and I hate it. Like I'm not growing, I'm not learning, and it's not for me. So I don't mind putting in extra hours, you know what I mean? Like I don't mind working, but I like to work extremely well when I do work. And then I would like to have the rest of my time for me. You know what I mean? Yeah,
for sure.
That's what I'm kind of trying to gear up towards. But also at the same token, I think filming and educating people is a fun thing to do.
Mm-hmm. It's super fun. It's super fun.
It's good to get your point across and things like that. So it's fun to see that you've got a bit of a game plan for where you want to go. And I like how you're wise enough to take the steps with working with smaller companies and understanding what you're getting out of it. That's really cool.
Thanks.
Like that's something that most people wouldn't understand, I've
definitely learned, that's the other thing is I've learned a lot from working with small companies because you learn how a company is run completely, and there's some things that you don't really, obviously, like I'm not on the inner circle, so there's some things that I just don't see. But like when we get new softwares, when we get shipments coming in, when we get all these different things, I'm seeing all of that. And I've been able to sit in on a number of the marketing meetings and I'm seeing how all that stuff works. And, if I was working for some big $1 billion company, I wouldn't see that,
Yeah.
And so I don't know, pushing small brands is awesome.
No, I think it's great. I think it's giving you firsthand experience too. And it seems like they have a bit of an open door policy. So if you had any good ideas, you could probably go and share them and they would accept it,
Oh, for sure. I've done it before and they've been really open. So it's been great.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. So we're getting almost to the end of the show. Is there anything you'd like to talk about, sort of get a point across, let people know a little bit about you? Obviously, things that I think most people wouldn't know is that you did lose your mum. You are a very level-headed person. I see you kicking out, and you have a good time here and there. But at the same token, you're a no-nonsense guy, and I like that.
Thanks.
It's very rare to find someone so well put together and still gone through like what you've gone through with your mum and things like that, which tells me that she laid a really good foundation in you, which you were able to handle things on your own, especially going through that COVID with your dad not being here, or your dad being at work doing what he had to do, and you being at home for that long period of time. That's not good for a young guy,
Yeah.
So that's tricky times there, huh?
Yeah, I think everyone has their struggles. Behind every person that looks stoic, there's always going to be hours and hours of just pain and frustration, and
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of my struggles usually are just in my head, like just staying always busy, but I do think that everything that I have right now, I can tie it back to my parents and just how good they are, like how blessed I am to be able to have that opportunity to have such good parents that really do care about me and that raised me in a way that is healthy, know. And, I can't deny, obviously I'm religious, but there's a lot of things that have just lined up that I can't owe to myself, There's been so many little things that just should not have worked out that have worked out. And I just can't, I can't deny that. But I think that the big things that I'm really thankful for my parents for, that I think have helped me the most, is their mindset of just work hard and be better than you are, Like in high school, I always had good grades, but I procrastinated a lot. But my parents' rule was they never had a hard, fast rule about, they tried to avoid hard, fast rules about specific grades, but they just wanted to see that we were working as hard as we could, that we were doing our best job, And I think that was huge for me, because it's not about getting the A, it's about putting the effort in.
It's about the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if I got C's, but I was working as hard as I possibly could, then they were fine with that, Yeah. And I think that's really key, because especially in the current age, like you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, and you don't have to be the fastest or anything like that to be able to get somewhere. You just have to be able to work at it hard enough,
Yeah.
And obviously there's smart decisions that you have to make, but that's really the thing, is like what separates a successful person from, I guess, an unsuccessful person would theoretically, in my mind, is just how much that they're willing to put into it, And obviously, like, there are situations where it's just like, all right, you got to cut your losses, you got to back out and make a smarter choice. But like growing up, or just throughout my life, I've seen so many times of people that could be so much more, but they chose not to be. They were comfortable, and it just blows me away, because there's plenty of things that I do that obviously I need to improve on, and there's plenty of things that I need to get out of my comfort zone with, and that I just need to get over in my head. But it just blows me away how stuck people think that they are, when from an outside perspective, they just really aren't, like people just kind of get into this loop of, oh, this is my work day. I'm going to go to work, I'm going to go spend time with my kids, and then I'm going to go home, and then I'll go to bed, wake up, go to work,
I would go as far as to say people wouldn't even plan that much.
Yeah, right.
They don't plan. They're auto. Yeah. They're running on auto. Yeah. For most of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's the system that's built for us.
Yeah, for sure. And like we're just all just going through the motions. But what's stopping you from picking up and going out? Like what's stopping you from grabbing your friends and going to the dunes for a weekend?
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, this upcoming week, or a week from Thursday, I'm going to go to Puerto Rico with some friends. Yeah. And like, I want to do that for forever. And finally I realized that it was just time to do it, and I found cheap tickets. Like, obviously don't go below the bank, but like, if you have a dream, if you have something that you really care about, then just find a way to do it, because there is a way to do it. All these videos that I really enjoy doing and I enjoy making, I don't have the budget for like these big companies or things like that. I can't afford a brand new camera. And so I found used stuff, and I looked up the YouTube videos to recreate things and to do things on my own that people think that you need a lot of money for, but you really don't. I think that's where the entrepreneurship comes into, right? Yeah,
this day and age, the YouTube University is amazing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like I bring what you just said, man. Like I'm here changing everything. Like I've dreamt about doing this for a really long time, but I kept putting it off, saying I don't have those tools, I don't have those credentials. You know what I mean? And you've literally seen me do my very first stuff in film, which hasn't been great, but it hasn't been bad either. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that kills me the most, is like I've had a look at other people's first works and they were a lot worse than mine. However, I have a mind about it too, you know what I mean? But to change everything is just like, it's the hardest thing anyone will ever do. But it's just like, how do you eat an elephant? Not that you're going to eat an elephant, but if you do, it's one bite at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
But you just got to keep doing those bites. It's like just adding those steps in one after the other. You know, even if you're at home and you're on the couch and you've done nothing for a long time, but you've wanted to do something, I promise you, man, just walk to your letterbox.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go walk to your letterbox and then the next day do it twice. You know what I mean? And eventually, before you know it, you might be walking, 5 miles or whatever, and that might be a huge something for you. And that's how I kind of feel with me. I feel like I've been the fattest, laziest person on the couch doing the same thing that I knew years and years and years, but now it's time for me to change.
Yeah.
So now it's time for me to learn how to shrug the weight off, get to where I need to be. And it really is like turning an ocean liner in a bay. It doesn't happen straight away, man. And there's so many buttons in editing. It's just crazy. Like I'm barely bumbling and stumbling my way through now, but it's getting there, huh? My stuff's coming out and it's looking not so bad, and that's just put one foot in front of the other. Just start, guys. Just go out there and do it,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's there's no excuses. The excuse is on your deathbed you'll be trying to explain to yourself why you didn't do it.
Yeah.
When you don't have the energy. So while you got it young, go and do it. I have one last question for you.
Okay.
What makes the difference? And it could do with anything in life.
What makes the difference?
Yeah, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What makes the difference? You kind of already touched on it a little bit, but let's do something else. Yeah,
I think what makes the difference is someone that has a mindset of growth and a mindset of learning. As I've been working at Outdoor Vitals, we have our 5 different, what we call core values. And or is it 5? I have to go through them. But we have our core values, and they are how we hire people. They're how we see how someone's doing in the company. And basically it's number 1, live ultralight. And that means living your life in a simple way where things are organized and you feel like there's space, you're free, And then act responsibly, which is given itself. Hike in their shoes, which is to think about other people and from their perspective, and especially when we're doing customer service and stuff, it's super important. And then, what was the other one? Be tenacious. And so tenacious means like be tough, work through the grind, push really hard. And then the final one, and this is the one that has been the most impactful for me, is ask why. And with anything that you're doing, ask why. And I'm not saying that you have to be a jerk about it or be pretentious or anything, but essentially when you're doing something, when you're going through the motions, ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? And if you can come up with a good reason for it, great. That's, you found the why. But whether it be just the norm that everyone's going through, like the weird societal norms that don't make any sense, or how your business is run, or the different things that with your program or whatever that people always have said, do this, and you just do it mindlessly because everyone says to do it. Just ask why. And you're going to find 2 things. You're either going to find that they were right, and there's no harm in asking and learning for yourself, because then there's a reason behind doing it, or you're going to learn that it's completely stupid. Yeah. I do the same thing with my kids, right? Because they do things and they do things absent-mindedly. And I say to them, dude, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing what I'm doing right now? And I promise you'll find 10 different ways to do it faster, or you'll realize you don't even need to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. Exactly. And I think that's a big one. So I'm kind of glad you touched on that. Actually, that's really cool. No, I think and that's with your company that you work for? Yeah. So those are our core values. And honestly, I think they really apply to everything, work hard, be relatable to people, or like understand where they're coming from. You got to be responsible, like show up when you said you're going to show up, and live ultralight. Like, don't have such a cluttered life that you can't just pack up and go, and then just ask why. You know? Like, be prepared to pivot. Yeah, exactly. Be prepared to pivot. I think that's super important in all things too. Yeah, no, it's so cool. I had Ken Hall sitting in that seat a few weeks back, and he said, and I kind of touched on what you touched on, but he said the biggest advice I can give you is if you treat everybody like they are going through something,
something very significant, you will have the best time of life because everyone will care for you, just like you're caring for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a quote I don't really share super often, but it goes along with this, and it's been really impactful in select moments of my life. And basically, there was this experience where when my mom was going through it, and for people that don't really understand the way that cancer works, I mean, it depends on the kind of cancer you have, but like the cancer effectively, especially when it's like a brain tumor, can effectively turn the person that you once knew into someone that has special needs. And that's what we were going through, and there were so many people coming by our house, helping us, bringing us food, and just being there for my mom. And my dad, one day, he approached my mom and was like, after someone had just left, and he was like, a lot of people love you. And without any hesitation, she just responded, I love a lot of people. And I think that's exactly what you just said right there. If you want to be loved, if you want to be well liked, then the key is to not make yourself more impressive so people like you. It's not to make yourself more funny. It's to like a lot of people, and then despite your flaws, despite whatever, they're going to love you for it.
Yeah, just be genuine, eh? Like I look at the human condition. We're all going through stuff, and I'm just a genuine soul. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to be my friend, cool, let's go do it.
Yeah,
you'll get a good friend. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I think that's where it's got to be at. Thanks for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it, Caden. Hey, I hope everyone liked it out there. If you did stick around for this long, please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great one. Thank you so much. Right now.